figure out, you know, of all the people that are in the community, all the people we can reach out to, let's figure out how people are using it. And of this survey, we had 137 respondents. About a little over a quarter of the respondents were actually contributors, which I thought was pretty good. That means we got on the developer list. Majority used for personal use, but there was overlap, people used for personal use as well as business use. So again, most people are end users, a lot of developers, contributors. These are sort of the survey result respondents, just to give you a sense of what these results are from, the type of people. As you can see here, most of the uses for the OpenWrt LEDE distribution is Wi-Fi routers, but there's also many applications that people use in addition to a standard Wi-Fi router. There are examples of specific projects that people pointed to where they run OpenWrt LEDE. So a lot of different projects. Again, this is by no means inclusive of everything that you use, but at least the survey respondents pointed to a number of different things. Other application uses where they're running some specific firewalls or, you know, Wi-Fi hotspots and filtering, parental control, security, virtual machines. There's a number of different projects here. And then when we asked a question that said, when OpenWrt LEDE doesn't work, what do you use instead? Stock firmware was a common answer, but here you see some other distributions and stacks that people use. Now the next three slides, general technology areas for improvement or ideas or whatever. There was a lot of notes about automated testing, security, and that has come up in some of the talks today, where there's better build infrastructure to address some of these things. More people testing, streamlining the build process, and then improved GUI, UI, security. Then on the feature side, there were some package requests. Some of it is a little bit on the hardware side, but so that depends on the hardware. And on the structure, make it easier. And we will share all of these results. There's a big pile of results in the spreadsheet, so this is my best take at a summary of some of these things. And then technology specifics on the connectivity side, there were some specific feature requests or technology requests. Performance, what came out a lot was FastPath or HNAT, or, you know, some of the higher end hardware now comes with a lot of extra capability, but trying to get that into the project is tricky because a lot of the companies, the vendors, silicon vendors, don't necessarily make those performance enhancements open, so that's a little tricky. And then I think I have 3 or 4 pages of documentation. Clearly everyone wanted to respond to this question of suggestions for improving the documentation. A lot of just general stuff about the wiki being stale, and there being 2 wikis, one on OpenWrt, one on LEDE, and I mean, one of the reasons to keep the OpenWrt brand, now that we have kind of 2 brands going together, is because a lot of the Google searches still point back to OpenWrt LEDE wiki. So bringing those together and taking advantage of the URL that's been around for a long time will help people find things. And then there was an interesting thing here about integration with WikiDevi. I don't know who maintains that, but that is a source that I use sometimes to go find, you know, what platform runs what chip and what Wi-Fi. And then on the device support side, you know, just there was, you know, there's always how do you help the end user reflash a router, and that's becoming harder and harder now that regulatory rules require you to make it harder to reflash routers, so that's sort of, there's a mixed bag there. Or listing the well-supported hardware. I find the supported device database to be pretty good. But apparently it's still somewhat out of date in some areas. And then it's funny, on the published book would be great, and then Luka Perkov and some of his guys have been actually looking to publish a book, perhaps. And then specific topics of where people wanted more documentation, I just listed some of the areas. Clearly, Lucy and UCI was common, and just the build system, the philosophy behind the procedures for the builds, and that's very tricky. I sat near John Crispin at lunch, and he knows every single trick in the build system, but obviously it's a lot in people's heads. And then wishful thinking, I can just sort of summarize all the different things that people wanted, boiled down to one of the comments that just said more, always more. So whenever you have a chance to write more documentation, go for it. And maybe that's an area where I still think the Purple Foundation could help, just pool some of the money from industry and pay some people to help in this area, technical writers or something. And then Shelley created answers to two of the questions that were just very difficult to put together. So I handed her questions 8 and 9, which is basically, did you have specific requests on feature requests? And here's just a whole splattering and smattering of things where people wanted things fixed or improved. And then, so there's a smattering of things. And then planned roadmap activities. This is actually asking developers, what projects are you currently looking at doing in the future? So there are a few interesting things on here. There was some of these, here's on my roadmap, actually matched some of the requests by other people. So, so hopefully those come together. And then there was a question that asked, do you know of any training, areas where you can get training on OpenWrt LEDE? And nobody had any results to point to any training. And then there was a follow-up question saying, would you be interested? And even though the respondent community was heavily already involved in the project, there was still a fair amount that said yes, training would be good, or a small percentage that said I would be a trainer potentially. And this is the last slide, which is just basically organizing who the respondents are based on their organization type. And it was a little bit sad when I saw that there was one person responding to the survey who actually is coming from the semiconductor industry. It would be nice if these mailing lists and the places where we had published this survey had a little bigger percentage of people who work in the semiconductor industry. That's just an interesting feedback note that I got there. But at least we have some of the ODMs represented, and OEMs, people who sell hardware that's running this software, and individual developers. So total respondents, again, on the whole thing was about 137, and then not all questions were required. So this is summary. And we'll publish these results probably in raw data, and we can also share these slides, which is just a summary. So that's actually the last talk for today, but then Shelley Cohen is going to come up, and I can't thank Shelley and Barbara enough. Barbara's already left, maybe to go off to the other things, but these gals in the last few days, Shelley's been running all over town, getting badges printed and buying scissors and cutting them out herself. I mean, you name it, this girl goes beyond, this gal goes beyond what's practical and does it all. So thank you, everyone, Barbara, Shelley, and the whole host, Susie Nick.
I have no slides. I'm just going to put that back up. Thank you. So thanks everybody for coming. And first off, I want to say thanks again to our sponsors. So our hosts, Terrace Omnia, CZNIC, like Kathy mentioned, they have done so much to help us, from finding the venue, organizing the social event tonight, just so much the entire way along. And then our platinum sponsors, Intel, Purple, Inteno and Sentinel, and then our gold sponsors, Technicolor, Sartura and CZNIC. Yeah, just a big round of applause for them. Thanks so much. Without our sponsors, we couldn't have done this. So to the community members then, thanks so much for the hard work you put in. I mean, OpenWrt wouldn't, and LEDE wouldn't be very much without all of you actually doing the work and putting all the hard slog in. So a round of applause for yourselves, community members. And again, our speakers, everybody was great today. Thanks so much. When we had the call for papers out, we got so many wonderful talks proposed that basically we just wanted to cram as many of them into today as possible, and cut different things here and there so that we could fit them all in. So again, thank you so much everybody for your wonderful talks. Tomorrow we're going to have some face-to-face meetings, we're going to have workshops, and we're going to have a development sprint room. And I updated the website just a short time ago with the floor plan of the hotel, because it's a bit confusing, it's a bit of a labyrinth. But when you come upstairs from outside in here, it's not coming into this side, but going through the other door. And the doors will be signposted with workshops or face-to-face meetings or the development sprint room. And yeah, have a look on the website if you get a little bit lost, because I know I've gotten lost here a couple of times already. Coffee breaks are in here again though, and lunch is downstairs again. Tonight, the social event, you have to have your badge with you to get in, so don't forget to bring that with you. It's at 7:30 until 11, and again, the details are all on the website with that, including a map. And when you go out from the hotel here, you get the tram that's going to the right, am I right? That's the one that goes towards town, and it brings you directly there. The stop is called, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Narodny Trida, something like that. It's about 5? Okay, so in case you didn't hear that, the tickets are, like, there's a ticket machine across from where the tram goes from. So that brings you directly to Brewery U Medviku, and the entrance to that is through the Metro Palace. And yeah, all the details for that are on the Summit website. So if any of you have any questions or get lost, you can ping me, Shelley at purplefoundation.org, and I will help you find your way there. But that's it. Thanks so much everybody for today, and looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning. Doors will open at 8:30 and we get started at 9 with most of the things. So thanks everybody, and have a great night tonight.